Hello everyone. Today at Jagran English, we are joined by 3 times Grammy Award winner Mr. Ricky Cage. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, Ricky has a very special gift for each and every Indians out there. He has created his own version of International Anthem, which is the musical version of the International Anthem. So, Ricky, if you could tell us more about it and your experience of recreating it.
Now, of course, I'm really excited about this. The National Anthem is a song that is really important to me. It's my favorite piece of music in the world. In fact, it's the first piece of music that I ever listened to as a child, and also the first piece of music that I ever played on a musical instrument. So I've had 42 years of practice making this, performing this national anthem. And on the other end, I love working with orchestras all over the world. I work with orchestras in multiple countries, everywhere in the world. And my favorite orchestra is the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in Britain, in London. So I thought, why not get these two elements together? And the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra was very happy to record the national anthem. So we had to come up with all of that, and then we put the anthem together. And of course, an added bonus was that it's a British orchestra. So as we all know, they ruled us for 200 years, and now we have an Indian composer conducting and leading them.
We have always heard you speaking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the phrase Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So what impact both of them has on your life?
So Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a very important phrase because just on the meaning of it, it is the world is one family. That's about it. But at the G20 presidency, Prime Minister Modi gave it a little bit more meaning. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam does not just mean living in peace and harmony between all of us human beings. It is much wider than that. It's about living in absolute peace and absolute harmony with every single entity, whether living or non-living. So it's not just human beings, it's also the forests and wildlife. And not only that, also the elements of nature, the water we drink, the air we breathe, the land we walk on. And only if we fulfill this idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and coexistence, only then we as human beings will survive.
True.
So that is the way it is. We need to coexist with nature, and these are our ancient philosophies of India that the world can benefit from. So in 2015, when I won my first Grammy Award, I was invited for a 5-minute meeting with Prime Minister Modi. And I was very honored by getting that 5-minute meeting.
True.
And I went and met him. And it ended up being an hour-long discussion. In that meeting is where he inspired me that you're so passionate about the environment, you're so passionate about climate change, so why don't dedicate your life to this and make your life just about this?
Wow.
So I remember taking that advice very seriously. And when I left his office, I thought in my mind that if the Prime Minister is giving you advice, you have to
abide by it.
You have to abide by it. So I decided that, and this is the push that I needed. I always wanted to do it.
Indian composer and a British orchestra. How did you come up with the idea? Also, are we going to see any more further collaboration with them?
Yeah, I've collaborated with the British Orchestra, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra a few times in the past. Like my Grammy-winning album, Divine Tides, also featured them. Another previous album also featured them. So I love that orchestra. And I will continue, working with them for sure. But what made this special was that it was a 100-piece ensemble. In previous times, or even for large film scores, like Jurassic Park or Lord of the Rings or whatever, this orchestra usually records in a configuration of between 65 to 70 musicians, which is also huge. But that's the configuration. But this time we went for 100 musicians. And in fact, Abbey Road Studios, where we recorded at, which is the most legendary studios in the world, the engineers over there were saying that that we've never recorded 100 musicians over here. Even though they have the capacity to, they've never recorded 100 musicians in that studio.
First time.
So it's the first time. So it was a very good experience. Of course, all of you are going to be watching the video, but I was in that room while they were recording, so you can imagine how I must have felt, in that room with those 100 musicians playing in front of me the national anthem. It was an amazing experience.
So you've told us that it's a gift from you to all the Indians.
Correct.
There's no copyright. Anyone can use it.
Anybody can use it for whatever purposes they want. So the idea is that I've not involved any entity in this. There is no corporate entity. There's no record label. There is no corporation. So the idea is this, that since it is self-funded, I've got full control over it. So I've just given it out to everybody. Anybody can use it without any permissions and without any monetary compensation, no royalties, nothing. It's basically free for not just Indians, anybody in the world. But the only thing is that use it respectfully. If somebody does not use it respectfully, they will hear from me.
Obviously, it's the national anthem.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure everybody will treat it respectfully. I'm pretty sure.
What is your dream destination?
One of them was in Leh. I had performed. This was to celebrate 20 years of the Kargil Divas in 2019. So that I would say was the best concert of my life, because imagine this, 12,000 feet elevation, completely surrounded by mountains, Shanti Stupa behind me, and in front of me 12,000 army soldiers wearing uniform and doing a 2-hour concert for them. And they danced with us, they sang with us, they flashed their cell phone lights, they did all of that. It was an unbelievable experience. The second concert which I really loved doing was at the United Nations General Assembly. I've already performed there 4 times now in New York at the headquarters. But the first time when I had performed there, I remember I had gone there a day before for the rehearsal, and I went into that hall and I immediately got extremely nervous, because you suddenly start realizing that the same stage where I'm standing at and performing, every single world leader has stood over there at some point in time. These walls have heard all these conversations of all these world leaders about war, about peace, about signing treaties, about making deals, about intergovernmental panel discussions. So it was quite an amazing experience, but I was very nervous. But luckily, I'd gone there a day before for the rehearsal. So the next day when I'd come for the concert, there was no nervousness. That was a great concert. And my dream destination is, and I keep saying this, is basically the Indian Parliament House, the new Indian Parliament House. I'm quite desperate to perform over there, because I think that will make a very, very good concert.
And we are looking forward for it.
Yeah, and you guys have to make it happen.
Okay, so I wanted to know, as to you've got 3 Grammy Awards, right? You've represented India at big stages. So it's a huge achievement for us, for you.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know as to like, how did this music journey, this journey of music, Ricky Cage into music start?
So it started at a very young age. I do not remember a time when I was not playing an instrument or I was not, listening to music. So I grew up in North Carolina for the first 6 years of my life. My father is a doctor and he was a doctor there. And he had this massive music collection. And not just the hits of that time, like, Mohammed Rafi, Kishore Kumar, or Bee Gees, Michael Jackson, Madonna. Not just that, but he had a lot of obscure music from around the world. Like music from Africa, music from Vietnam, music from Latin America, Celtic folk music. And I would listen to this music all day long. My music system was the center of my universe. I learned about different cultures through listening to all of this music. I learned about different ideas, different instruments, different people, countries. So a lot of my education happened through music. So that is how I guess the journey started. And my father had a few musical instruments at home. He never played any musical instruments. But I guess you know how it is, like I'll buy this instrument and I learn someday or whatever, and that never happened. So I started playing on these musical instruments and I became self-taught. But much later on in my life, I took a formal education in music. But nevertheless, those were the beginning stages of my music. And then later on, I became a professional musician and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So with this, I would like to ask that what message you would like to give to the aspiring Indian musicians?
So it's a very important message for aspiring Indian musicians. One is that do not get into the profession unless you are 101% sure that you want to be in it. A lot of kids ask me that, oh, my parents, my parents are very strict. They'll never allow me to be into music. So I say that, just being a musician is not enough nowadays. You need to be an entrepreneur, because you're constantly selling something, and that is yourself. And second thing is that you need to have leadership qualities, because you need to work with large groups of people, like other musicians, filmmakers, all of that stuff. So I said that if you are unable to convince your parents that you can have a profession in music, then this is not for you. How will you convince 1 million other people? So no matter how strict your parents are, you should be able to work with them and convince them. If you're not able to, then don't do this profession. It's that simple. And parents tell me that, oh, my son or my daughter wants to become a musician. Then I say that, you will know. Because you will know that whether they'll be successful or not, because you will know that this person will not do anything else. This person will never be anything else besides being a musician. So I think it has to be a very strong conviction, because it's not an easy path, being a musician. It's not like becoming an engineer and then you get campus selected and then you get into a job, then you want to do an MBA. It's not a traditional career path. You have to make your own path. And if you have to make your own path, you have to work extremely hard. And of course, to Indian musicians, what I would like to say is that stop aping the West. Stop trying to do whatever the West is doing. Start looking into your own roots, dig deep into your own roots, figure out what is it that makes you uniquely Indian, what is it that makes you different from the world, and create music based on that, and everybody will appreciate you for it.
Indeed, Ricky. So I hope that the Indian musician will abide by whatever suggestion you have given and make India proud, just like you have made us proud.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.